Hi everyone, welcome to part 2. Okay, Ponomariov has just played bishop d6, and as I was saying, white has a good advantage now in every continuation. There's a few ideas to consider here. One is knight h5, where after knight takes h5, d takes e6 is the strongest continuation, effectively sacrificing a knight, but it's definitely better for white. After we best play knight f6, e takes f7 check, king f8, rook h e1. But a stronger continuation instead of that one is after bishop d6, knight d takes e6, where best play continues f takes e6 and knight g6, attacking the loose rook here. And rook h7 is the most advisable move, but now comes d takes e6, and after the only decent response, bishop b7, white has a winning advantage with the powerful exchange sacrifice, rook takes d6. And after queen takes d6, rook d1, and here black is totally lost. His only hope is to take and give a check with queen takes d1. And after king takes d1, castling long with check. But now comes king c1, and white is almost 6 pawns ahead. So it's a one game, and this was definitely the strongest continuation, but unfortunately Magnus missed it. Maybe his illness is to blame, who knows, but his continuation was still strong, but not so much as this one. What he played after Ponomariov's bishop d6 was knight f takes e6, which is the same idea in lots of ways, but it means that knight g6 isn't possible. So f takes e6 came from Ponomariov, and now came d takes e6. And here he has 3 pawns for the knight, a powerful passed pawn, strong play down the d file, and good attacking chances. So he's definitely better here. And Magnus is a positional player, and this too may explain his choosing this line. Although in truth, if he'd calculated the previous line to its end result, he certainly would have taken that one instead. Ponomariov now blockaded the pawn with his bishop, and there was fierce debating watching this game as to what the correct way for Magnus to continue here was. Many people were saying that g5 was best, but Fritz doesn't agree. Personally, I thought knight f5 was the best, at least to begin with. White will want to play g5 at the right time, which presents a problem with knight f5 right now, because the g-pawn is protecting the knight at f5 from the queen here on c5, and there's a move to solve this problem, and that's what Magnus played with queen d3, and that will support a knight at f5 and then g5 maneuver. And moreover, it forces black to castle into a violent attack, because castling now is the only sound defense to the threat of queen g6 check, which would be totally winning for white, no matter what black plays here. For example, if queen b6 or something like that, and then queen g6 check, and king d8 is the only way to avoid immediate mate on f7, but now comes knight f5 with discovered check from the rook. King c7 is black's best hope, but now knight takes e7, and white has a winning advantage over 5 pawns ahead. So basically black is forced to castle, and it's one of those terrible situations in chess where you have to just make an abominably bad move, but Ponomariov has no choice, and it's a very cruel but genius play from Carlsen. So Ponomariov castles, and now comes bishop b3 from Magnus, which is presumably so he can move his queen without worrying about his bishop being taken, and to secure the bishop on this strong diagonal it's on now, and also defend c2, which could become sensitive later. But this was a small oversight that allowed black a more resilient defense, although white would still be significantly better. That defense is bishop b7, where best play continues queen g6 and knight e8, with a good and in fact almost winning advantage to white after knight f5, which forces rook takes f5, and after g takes f5, bishop takes f3, f6 is the only move that keeps the advantage, forcing knight takes f6. If instead bishop takes h1, white is easily winning after f7 check, king h8, f takes e8, queen check, rook takes c8, queen takes c8 check, bishop f8, and rook takes h1. So after f6, knight takes f6 is forced. But now comes rook hg1, and bishop g4 is the best defense, but white is still winning after rook takes g4, knight takes g4, queen takes g4. Queen e3 check, king b1 is fine for white, and he remains a pass pawn up, still with good attacking chances, and this should be a win for white, but it'll take much longer than it would have done if Magnus had played g5 immediately. As it turned out, however, Ponomariov didn't find this defense. He was in fairly chronic time trouble, and instead effectively blundered. After bishop b3 from Magnus, he played rook d8, and this allows Magnus to play g5 anyway, which he did, and now white is winning in every continuation. Knight h7 is how Ponomariov chose to defend. Another option was king h8, but this is even worse after g takes f6, bishop takes f6, and queen f5, where white has an advantage of over 2 pawns. If bishop takes d4, now comes queen takes c5, bishop takes c5, rook takes d8 check, king h7, bishop d5, attacking the rook, rook b8, bishop e4 check, and white is now over 5 pawns ahead. He is 2 pawns and the exchange up with an absolutely winning position. So knight h7 from Ponomariov, and now g takes h6, which is the strongest move from Magnus, and now an inaccuracy from Ponomariov, who, as I said, was in serious time trouble. Queen h5, but he's lost in any case. His best defense was g takes h6, but this doesn't really improve anything after queen g6 check, king h8, and rook hg1. It's game over, no matter what he plays here. But after queen h5, Magnus had queen e4, and this is easily the best move again, and Fritz gave it an exclamation mark along with the sentence, the end of the story, and now white is nearly 4 pawns up, so it's a completely winning advantage. The rook at a8 is attacked, and even after queen takes h6, king b1, black doesn't gain a tempo that he would usually have here, because the rook at a8 is attacked and it has to move, meaning that after rook a7 comes the lethal knight f5, and this comes with tempo because it attacks the queen here on h6, and what's more, black is now forced to play rook takes d1, and after rook takes d1 it's a tactical disaster. Ponomariov found the best square for his queen, which is f6, but now came a killer blow, and if you want to try and spot it, then stop the video now. Rook d7 is the move, which maintains a massive advantage. It attacks both the loose rook at a7 and the already attacked bishop at e7, winning a piece and the game. And Ponomariov's best hope now is to move his king out of the firing line with king h8, but now would come knight takes e7 check. Sorry, not check, just takes the bishop, and this forces black to give up his queen with queen takes e7, and after rook takes e7, rook takes e7, queen c6. The best hope for black is bishop b7, but now comes the great shot, queen d7, which ends the game because it is forking these two pieces. After rook takes d7, e takes d7, black has no way to stop the d pawn from queening. Okay, that's the end of part 2.